everybody, probably better than me. But at the same time, we're all here today. And we've gotten Saturday kind of sort of out of our system. We're at the point now where we started our preparation for Charlotte this coming week. I do need to talk a little bit about Saturday's game in that it was not very good. I think everybody kind of recognizes that. But we always feel that the greatest amount of improvement for a team, or the greatest opportunity for improvement is generally between the first and second game. You just get a little different sense of urgency. Come on, Channel. You get a little different sense of urgency from the competition that you have between yourself and an opponent than you do when you're going against yourself. So we've done now that first game. We get a little bit of an early start on everybody. The fact that we played a week before everybody, so that gives us an opportunity now to have a little more time to get straight. So we're going to just kind of mark that off the map at this point, going about the task of getting ready for Charlotte this week in Charlotte. Coach Pough is the new head coach there. It's like everything else in this year. We're starting against a new staff, and we don't know much about them except for, the information that we're now beginning to get, depth charts and that kind of stuff. Sounds like they've got a bunch of transferred to roster. Kind of looks like the Jackson State roster, all of the slashes. You got guys that went to high school and slash, went to college and slash, went to another college and slash, and now he's at Charlotte. So this is the, I guess, time of the era of the transfer portal, and these guys are using it to replenish their teams in a hurry. And you know what? I ain't mad at them. A man's got to do what a man's got to do. A coach got to do what a coach's got to do. So, I think they're trying to make sure that they get as much done as possible, personnel-wise. Questions?
Coach, you said on Saturday that you weren't really surprised with the outcome of the game. Was that more of an evaluation of Jackson State, your own team, or kind of a combination of the two?
A little bit of a combination of the two. I did not think that we were quite there yet coming out of camp, although I was hoping we were further along than it looked. But, my worst dreams, thoughts, came to the realization during that process, and it was not pretty. But you know what? It is what it is. We're going down to figure out what's wrong and fix it. So it'll be interesting to see just how far we can get this team in the next few weeks. But that's the mission, and I look forward to it. It's a young team. We got a lot of guys that are playing a good bit for their first time, and I feel good about their attitude. We met yesterday and went through the film and practiced, and I think we'll be eventually okay. It's going to take a while now, don't get me wrong. We've got some work to do, but at the same time, I do think we're up to the task.
What were some things that jumped out to you after watching that film from Saturday?
We weren't accurate enough. We didn't throw the ball well enough. They got into our grill and beat us up at the receiver position a little bit. We weren't able to win out on the edge, nor were we accurate enough to make some of the balls, at least contestable balls. We needed to be a little bit better accuracy-wise in the throw game, and we struggled a little bit protection-wise. Jackson had a really good scheme in the back end of their defense where they played us a lot of cover one, a lot of man, and they were successful at it. So at this point, we've got to come up with an answer to deal with that kind of stuff. The worst realization was the fact that we struggled to stop them. We got a stopper too early. We actually were stopping them until we eventually just kind of broke a little bit in the latter part of the second quarter. But our defense had its issues in the third down situation. We had some offside errors. We couldn't quite seem to stay onside. We had 4 or 5 offside penalties versus our defense, and they were all in third down and medium the short situations that gave them either first downs or gave them close to first downs. So those are the kind of things that right now just kind of stick out in my mind. That were the kinds of issues that we had.
How much did them going no huddle, how much did that kind of throw you guys
Well, they
off?
tempoed us in a way that we hadn't seen them do before. We'd seen, nobody huddles anymore, so that's not really such a surprise to you. But when they go fast the way they did, when they're purposely trying to, get you before you have an opportunity to get a signal in and line up, that kind of stuff, that's a little bit different than what you, and it's weather related also too, because when you try to keep guys in the game, not let people substitute, and it's hot, so all get out. They want to try to see if they can take advantage of a lot of reps in a row against your big guys. So it was, they had a good plan. I got to give it to them. That the coach Taylor and his crew did a nice job, and I take my hat off to them. But maybe we get a chance to see him again.
What was your message to Corey Fields after that game, and what's his biggest priority to work on this week?
Yeah, we got to be better. We got to settle in. He's an older guy. We like to say that he's the adult in the room, and he takes responsibility for when he has those kinds of issues that he had Saturday. And he got knocked around a little bit. He got hit early in the first series. We had a busted assignment on a pass rush, and that seemed to kind of knock him off his game a little bit. But from that point, you got to regroup and get it together again. And although I thought he did at some point, it was more toward the end of the game when he really got a chance to get out for a minute and get back in the game, where he really came in and played a little bit better. So maybe it was my fault that I maybe should have gotten him out sooner, and maybe done some of that kind of behavior modification or whatever you want to call it when you give a guy a chance to kind of sit down and kind of watch a little bit. But when he went back in, he was better considerably.
And you guys, obviously, it was a rough night, but you guys ultimately avoided the shutout by getting that touchdown on the final drive in the final seconds. Just from a confidence standpoint, how big can that be going towards this weekend and then the rest of the season, you feel?
Probably a big channel. Anytime you go into a game and get shut out, that's another issue within itself. So we had another opportunity or two to get it down the field and get it in, and we kept kind of shooting ourselves in the foot. Penalties and some of that kind of stuff. So, we were fortunate at the end to be able to get it down and get it in. And part of the deal was that we had a combination of our two quarterbacks. When Andre Washington was in, and we kind of went to his style of play. And then when Corey came in afterwards, because Andre's helmet came off or something of that nature, I forgot exactly why, but I think that's why. Then Corey came in basically with the same style of offense, and was successful that way. So, it almost looks like maybe that's what we should have been doing all the time with him, and maybe we get some better results.
Coach,
just a little bit about your receiving core. How badly do we miss Shaq Davis?
Well, anytime you got a guy that's always a little bit of a mismatch, and people don't play nearly as much man on you, because you go immediately and try to see if you can take advantage of that matchup. We don't quite have that guy. We got a young guy that we like, that we think we can get going. That might be able to, Nigel Johnson from over Sumter County, South Carolina. So we think that we might be able to get a guy like that maybe going eventually. The Justin Smith-Brown, Justin's a little banged up right now, so he's not quite full speed. He's a guy that has that kind of ability, but doesn't quite have the ability right now because of injury. And then Jordan Smith's a little bit of a rimfo kind of guy. If you remember the guy that played the Clips a couple of years ago, that got a good bit of shake and bake and can play a little bit inside, a little bit outside, can do a lot of different things for you. But at the same time, he was not successful against those guys Saturday, because they could kind of lean toward him because we didn't have some of the other pieces in place to actually make it happen.
Coach, despite the loss, what are